Welcome to the Deep Dive. Our mission here is simple. We take stacks of source material, dig through it, and give you the distilled knowledge, the key insights, the context, and those aha moments, so you walk away feeling completely informed. Today, we're doing a deep dive into the life of Kabon Neli Timungpi. Now, she's a figure whose biography doesn't just, span modern Indian history, it really helped shape it. She has this, frankly, astonishing list of firsts across education, pre-independence politics, and even high-level national administration. It's quite the resume. Our goal today isn't just to list these achievements, though. We really want to unpack how. How did this one individual manage to be such a pioneer regionally, then a foundational national politician, and finally a long-term administrative authority, all in one incredibly productive life?
Yeah, and to really get a handle on her trajectory, you got to understand where she started. Kabon Neli Timungpi was born June 23, 1913, in Jawai, that's in present-day Meghalaya. Her parents were Dr. Mansadar Timung and Florisa Kropi, and the context here is just so important. Her career was already taking off, hitting major milestones well before India actually gained independence in 1947.
Right, that pre-independence context is where the story starts getting really compelling. So she got her early education in Shillong, which was a key administrative hub back then. And when she finished her high school leaving certificate, the HSLC, from the Welsh Mission Girls High School in 1928, she didn't just pass. She was actually first among all the toppers. We should probably pause on that for a second. 1928, a young woman from the Karbi community in the Northeast, not only going for higher education, but topping the entire region in her exams. That really speaks volumes, doesn't it? About her drive and her academic ability.
Oh, absolutely. And the government saw it straight away. She was awarded a government scholarship, 20 rupees per month, which was pretty significant then. And look, this isn't just about the money, it's confirmation. The powers that be, the administration, they saw her as exceptional talent, someone worth investing in. That early academic success, it definitely set the tone for everything that followed.
Okay, so let's dig into that educational pioneering phase. She moved from Shillong to Calcutta, a major intellectual center, right? Attended Diocese Shan College. And by 1932, she had her BA degree.
Yes, and that BA degree, it's a huge historical marker. It made her the first BA degree holder among the entire Karbi tribe. This is way more than just a personal achievement. It's a landmark for educational access, for representation for her community, happening in an era when, frankly, opportunities for women and, regional groups were pretty limited.
And it seems like her transition from being the student trailblazer to an actual educational leader was almost immediate. Like straight away, she's taking up these headmistress roles. People clearly trusted her capabilities right from the start.
Exactly. She went directly to Ridgeway Girls High School in Golakot, was headmistress there from 1932 to 1934. Then, she took charge at the Assamese Girls High School in Shillong from 34 to 1940. And after that, she led the Lady Reed Non-Sectarian School, also in Shillong, from 1940 right up until 1946.
Wow, okay, so that's a solid 14 years, basically. Her entire 20s and early 30s spent as an established educational leader. And this is right through that really volatile pre-war and wartime period. What does that long time as a headmistress suggest about her, maybe her management style or her philosophy?
Well, it certainly suggests stability, doesn't it? And a real commitment to building institutions. I mean, running 3 different girls' schools in key places like Golakot and Shillong for over a decade. She was shaping a whole generation of young women. It definitely shows she had a strong foundation in, governance and administration long before she even stepped into formal politics. And it's worth remembering the personal side, too. She married Welson Kongman, a Kazi gentleman, back in Shillong in 1934. This was happening right alongside her leading these prominent schools. So she was clearly very capable at managing demanding public roles and her personal life, all during a time of huge social change.
It really sounds like the classroom was just the training ground for a much bigger stage. Because by 1946, her focus shifts completely, doesn't it? From education to that final push for political self-determination. She gets actively involved in the India freedom movement and then secures a nomination as the Indian the INC candidate.
Right. And this leads straight to her first major political win. She contested and won the MLA election member of the Legislative Assembly for the Shillong constituency. That was in 1946. And this made her the first MLA among Karbi women, a huge milestone.
The timing here is just absolutely pivotal, isn't it? She was serving in the legislature before India became independent, covering that critical transition from 1946 to 1951. She was literally there, at the table, while the structure of the new nation was being hammered out.
And she wasn't just, a rank-and-file member. During that first MLA term, she immediately took on a major leadership role. She served as the Deputy Speaker of the Assam Legislative Assembly, again from 1946 right through to 1951.
Deputy Speaker. That requires immense procedural knowledge, impartiality, often acting as a neutral referee. But this is where that interesting tension in her career starts to show up, right? The sources show that while she held this impartial role, she was also a really intense regional activist at the same time.
Precisely. She was a central executive member of Karbi Bar, and she was one of the strongest Karbi voices arguing for greater regional autonomy. Their big success was the creation of the United Makir and North Kanchar Hills Autonomous District of Assam. That was formally established on November 17, 1951. So you see, she used her legislative position and her party influence to directly push for and achieve specific regional governance goals. It's quite a remarkable example of balancing national duties with fierce advocacy for her region.
That balancing act must have made an impression on the national leadership, because right after her time in the state assembly, she went straight to the national stage. In the very first general elections of the new Republic of India, she contested and won the MP seat Member of Parliament in 1952, serving until 1957.
Yes, and the historical significance of that win, it really can't be overstated. She became the first MP, not just from the Karbi tribe, but the first MP from the entire northeastern region of India. Think about it. This is when the new democracy was trying to bring together all its diverse parts. Her election was this powerful statement about including the Northeast at the very highest levels of government right from the start.
And just like her role as Deputy Speaker in Assam, she again served in a high procedural position during her time in Parliament. She was on the panel of chairpersons from 1952 to 1957. Seems she really built a reputation for fairness and knowing the rules.
Absolutely, and her influence quickly went beyond just New Delhi. Only 3 years into her term as an MP in 1955, she was appointed as a member of the UNO, the United Nations Organization. She actually attended the 10th General Assembly in New York, representing India on the world stage.
That's just an extraordinary progression, isn't it? From headmistresses in the 30s to a founding politician of independent India to representing the nation at the UN General Assembly by the mid-50s. Okay, here's where the story takes its final and maybe its most defining turn. After her political life, she moves almost seamlessly into this long phase of high-level administrative oversight. The sheer amount of time she spent doing this and the importance of the roles. It's what really defines her institutional legacy in the end.
It is fascinating because she transitioned from the inherently partisan world of elected politics, fighting elections, representing a party, to the very nonpartisan world of regulatory bodies. This shift tells you a lot about the trust the government placed in her ability to manage institutions impartially over the long haul. She started this phase as chairperson of the UPSC, that's the Assam Public Service Commission, from 1960 to 1962.
And then came what you could call the peak of her administrative career, the move to the national capital to serve on the UPSC.
Yes, the UPSC, the Union Public Service Commission. It's arguably the most powerful non-elected body in India. It's responsible for recruiting and selecting the top tier of civil servants, the IAS, IPS, IFS, essentially the administrative backbone of the whole country. And she served first as a member and then as chairperson of the UPSC starting in 1962, going right through until 1970.
8 straight years at the UPSC. That's a huge amount of time to be influencing the quality, the ethics, the very makeup of India's top bureaucracy. We're talking about a whole decade where she was fundamentally shaping Indian governance.
And even after finishing that immense national responsibility, her service to the region didn't stop. The trust in her regulatory judgment was just absolute by this point. She then went on to serve as chairperson of the NPSC, the Nagaland Public Service Commission, from 1970 to 1973. And immediately after that, she chaired the NPC Nagaland Pay Commission from 1973 to 1974. This continuous run of authoritative administrative roles lasted for about 15 years, really helping to stabilize both state and national institutions.
It really is a masterclass in professional evolution, isn't it? Moving from being an activist, a political fighter, to being the umpire, the regulator. And for those reflecting on her long and incredibly impactful life, she passed away eventually on March 17, 2007, at her home in Shillong, Meghalaya. It concluded a chapter that spanned nearly a century of pioneering work.
So if you look back at that whole arc, Kabon Neli Timungpi's life is just this profound study in leadership flexibility. She consistently broke barriers for her community, definitely for women and for the entire northeastern region. I think the key takeaway is that she didn't just succeed in one area. She achieved these foundational firsts at the highest levels in 3 really distinct professional fields: academic leadership, elected politics, and then impartial regulatory authority.
Yeah, her biography really gives you a masterclass in that transition. From being this pioneering political figure who had to fight those partisan battles and argue fiercely for regional interests, into becoming this essential long-term national and even international administrator, she moved from the heat of the legislative floor, you could say, to the quiet but incredibly powerful authority of the governance office.
Which brings us to an important question, maybe something for you, the listener, to consider as you reflect on her legacy. Think about that profound shift required. Moving from being an active political leader, an MLA, an MP, fighting for specific regional causes, to then taking on that strictly impartial, nonpartisan role as chairperson of institutions like the UPSC for almost a decade. Which phase of her long service? The fiery political advocacy early on or the steady guiding hand of institutional governance later? Which one ultimately had the greater lasting nonpartisan impact on the fundamental structure of India's administration? That's something to really think about long after this deep dive is over.